So, if you're not sleeping, if your mind is racing, if everything is revving, your cortisol's through the roof, your marriage is on auto, the meaning has gone out of your life, then stay with me, you're in the right place. Hi, welcome. My name's Dee. Today we're just going to talk about high achiever burnout. So I'm just going to dive in immediately to who I am and what gives me the right to speak this way, because I burnt out very early in my life. I'm now in my 8th decade. Yep. And wow, the processes that I went through to get here, that opened up my curiosity to really explore all of this from a different point of view, has been a long one. I began with top secret clearance in the government. I then moved on to, we'll skip over that bit. I then moved on to advertising, which was a highly stressful job in the 80s. I then ran my own business, teaching Japanese to the hospitality industry. Over 3,000 people I trained. And now I have 2 companies. And for the last 40 years, I have turned it upside down and looked at the underbelly of what makes humans tick by going through my own process. And now I work with people in a very different way to the rest of practitioners out there to help you come back to that wonderful center of yours in the most elegant, efficient, exponential, beautiful way. So just let go back into those symptoms. What you're experiencing, it is of these times. So everything has contracted since COVID. So the last 5-6 years, we have seen an uplift in anxiety. We have seen an uplift in burnout throughout the world over the last 5 years. We have been contracted, not expanded. And what that creates is a lack of sleep. It doesn't matter how many sleep drops you're having and how much magnesium you're having, how much red light therapy, all of that sort of biohacking you're doing, you will not be sleeping if this is going on. This is deep systemic work that is going to take you to a whole other level. Your marriage might be suffering. Your kids won't be talking to you. Your weekends, well, you're exhausted. And the other thing is that you work 24/7 because of how everything is structured these days. You cannot switch off. It's really hard for you to leave that phone in another room. Your libido will be low. Totally. Your capacity to feel joy, your capacity to feel spontaneous happiness has gone out the window. Because life has got on top of you at a time in your life. Probably you've got the house, you've got the car, you've got the job title, you've got all of those things that you know, the accumulation of things, and you've come to this point and you're miserable. So let's just go a little bit deeper here, because this is unsustainable. And yes, you can go to a psychiatrist, and yes, you can take antidepressants, or you can take, sleeping tablets. And you can go to a counselor and you can talk about it until the cows come home. But there's another way through that nobody speaks about. Because what is required here is a deep kinetic circuit break. What we want to do is get to a point where we respond to life, not react. So just take that in for a moment. What if everything coming at you, you had built around you this sort of center of peace where you could respond to life from a higher place, not react, not just keep hitting the balls away, because they're forever going to come at you. Like, that email list is not going to get any shorter. And I know a lot of you don't answer your emails, you've given up, okay? And I'm speaking here to both males and females. The only thing is that females, if you reach this point in your life, have an added layer here, which is perimenopause and menopause. So the extra layer, particularly with women, is also that you'll have aging parents, and you also probably have teenagers going through their stuff, which is acute. And so you just get build up of things and problems to solve because people are coming to you because you're such a responsible person. Okay? So you're exhausted. So come back to that feeling of, what if I had time, space to respond to life from a higher place, a more wise place, than react all the time? Because it's the reaction that's setting off your cortisol and setting off your adrenals. Because there'll be voices in your head. There'll be voices in your head, if you're a high achiever, pushing you to achieve, pushing you beyond your limits. This whole thing of smashing it out. If I just try harder, if I just concentrate more, if I just try harder, if I just use that sleep app, I'll get to sleep. If I just drink more coffee, I'll be able to stay awake and smash it out even further. Okay, so do you see the addiction? We have an addiction to speed. We have an addiction to contraction. We have an addiction to ticking things off our list and getting things done. And it's a modern day addiction that most of us suffer from. So for those that are ready, we're going to flip it out. We're going to turn it all upside down. And we're going to look at it from a completely different place. Because I think, yes, it was Einstein who just said, he said one day, whenever he was around, you can't solve a problem from the level at which it was created. So everything you've done up until now doesn't work. So the route we're going to look at is radically different. It is simplistic in its approach. It's very, very powerful, and it will shift your paradigm to something completely different when the doors open. It did for me. Yes. I used to have very high adrenals. I often wouldn't sleep. I have a very, very high intellect, so it would be thinking a lot of the time. I'd be thinking my way out of a problem. I'd be trying to solve things. And the really interesting thing is that my ego quite liked that because it made me feel a little bit special, a little bit important. But my health and my body didn't. So let's come back to what the opportunity is. And now I'm going to unpack it in a way that's you probably never heard of before. And I just want to say here that for some of you, you go, at this point, I don't know if she's for me. In which case, please just leave. That's fine. For those of you who are curious and want to stay, then roll up your sleeves. If you're driving, pull over. If you're somewhere, just go and close the door, because I'd like you to take in every word of this and run it through your own filter and see how it lands for you. We're all unique. I work with people who are ready and willing to make this change once and for all, and to put themselves in the driver's seat so they're not at the effect of life moving forward. And that's not to say that shit doesn't happen. We all know that shit does happen, okay? But it's how we respond to that from a place of centered peace that will actually determine the longevity of our life, the quality of our relationships, the meaning and purpose of everything that we do from here on in. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to unpack a few client stories and people that I've worked with. So I've worked really the last 40 years in this space, but not the way I work now. It's really been intense over the last 7 years. And that is because these times require something different. They really require that kinetic circuit break. They really require a much deeper dive into who we are on the largest of levels and why did we come? What is the point of all of this? So if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's if you get to sleep, and you're staring at the ceiling and you're wondering what the point of all of this is, then listen further. When I talk about some of the people that I've worked with, I'll say it's a privilege to work one-on-one with people when they're going through this enormous crossroads in their lives. So I generalize. Okay, I will never give away private information. My top secret clearance, straight out of university, helped me with that one. So if I remember back to one particular client, CEO, large business, and their long-standing marriage was really crumbling. And they were doing everything within their power to make it work, to the point where that was affecting their health, it was affecting their work environment, their capacity to deliver what they needed to do at that level. And the thought of this going on, even though they were having counselling and it was getting nowhere, if they projected out into the next 4, 5, 10 years, it was untenable. However, the counselling was going nowhere because the counselling went around and round and round in circles. So what we did over a 3 or 4 month period was he, by doing the work and working with me, was able to end the marriage, and within another few months had started another long-term relationship that was much more suited to him, his way of life, his desires, his vision, the next 10 years, the next 15 years. And now it has a trajectory that can just keep going on and on. So that was that. And then there was another guy who, like, the amount of work that he did, just work. And yet underneath it all, he just had this picture of this house on the hill and the garden and the vegetables and this whole other calling, and he didn't know how to get from there to there. So he worked with me, I think, only a couple of months. And within that time, decisions were made, the house was sold, he moved on, and it took about 12 months until the vegetables started to come up. And yeah, he made the shift. But what happened for him was that he brought himself back to himself and he began to do the things that brought him joy again. He's still an incessant worker, but he does it now more out of joy and vision rather than I have to, like a rat on the wheel. Okay, and then there was another, and this time was a woman. She bought into a franchise, a restaurant, and when she got there and got it all sort of set up, it was like Fawlty Towers. There was like Manuel in the kitchen. Was it Manuel? I don't know, whoever was in the kitchen, but you got the picture. But somehow, something had called her to do this, and she was just stressed to the max as to how she was going to get herself out of this, because she didn't really have the experience to do that, but she had the vision for the place, okay? It was like, how do we get there? So I would have worked with her for a few months, and I'm not going to go into the depths of the process in terms of what happened in the first week, but needless to say, there had to be a clean out. And she rang me up and she said, you've got no idea. People are coming into the restaurant that we've never met before. The crappy staff have left and the new ones arriving in, and they're all happy. So we were able to shift it around, and with her taking responsibility, to an entirely different paradigm. And each situation is entirely unique, because every human being is unique. There are 8 billion of us, And my job in the way that I work is to listen and to determine where the end of that Gordian knot is, where all that entanglement is, find it and tease it out, and watch everything else start to open up and shift. That's what happens with this work. It's exquisite. So you don't have to do plant medicine. You don't have to go to a woman's circle. You don't have to, go on these amazing retreats. In fact, some of that can actually make you escape. And that's been part of the problem that we've had. People escape. With me, I don't let you escape because I'll explain that a little bit, what the process is. But it's how do you take responsibility in every single moment for every single choice that you're making so that that's in alignment with some larger plan. There was another client who, formidable speaker, fantastic speaker, but she'd gone through a whole lot of personal turmoil, a whole lot of personal overwhelm and pressure. And she had a talk to deliver. And there were a lot of people depending on her to give this talk I think it was the following day. And she just said, I think I'm going to get up there and just cry. I think I'm going to get up there and just break down. And I can't because there's too many people riding on this and this is not who I am. So that was an emergency session. And so needless to say, the next day she got up and was so peaceful and had such a strong connection with that which spoke through her. And that's what a good speaker does, by the way. They just get out of their own way and it comes through them. And she said it was one of the best deliveries she'd ever done. Everybody loved it. So that was an interesting process as well. Every situation is unique. And she has gone on to do more and more and more of the same. So I want to explain the fundamentals of what I'm talking about. And I'm going to do it using the words resonance and frequency. And I'm going to use them intelligently. Okay, because there's a huge amount of science behind this now. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. Our bodies are energetic systems, electrical systems actually. Our thoughts, our emotions, our relationships, our relationship to our body, an incident that happened when you were 2, the energy of your business, everything has a measurable frequency. A measurable frequency. That includes your intention. Wow, you mean she can measure my intention? Yes, I can. Accurately. I can also measure your willingness to do this work or not, because I don't take on revolving doors. Okay? So people come to me when they're burned out and they've tried everything else and they've gone, I can't do this anymore. There has to be another way through. So what I work with is the foundational is it's a thing called the map of consciousness. And David Hawkins wrote a book called Power versus Force, and it's part of that. I use it as a foundational guide, and that is the only part that I use it for. So just imagine that we have a chart that goes and measures from 1 to 1,000. So let's talk about the 1 to 500 at this point. That each of those measurements is a frequency readout for an emotion, a thought, an event, your business, whatever we want to measure, we can measure here. Now, the key thing is the lower the measurement, the more contracted and heavier the feeling, the emotion is. And collectively, we're still pretty heavy. It's getting lighter, but we're still pretty heavy. Now, you may be heavy in a whole variety of different ways. In some ways, we will always have a levity somewhere. We'll always have something that lights us up. We all have that capacity. But life gets in the way. We hold on to the baggage, and what happens is we accumulate charges in our energetic field. And it's those charges, could be words somebody said, it could be an incident that happened, could be a failure that you had, it could be a bankruptcy, it could be, I don't know, something that your mother or your father said. Whatever that is, that charge, if still there, has a hold on you. It has you by the short and curlies, okay? And no amount of talking about it in a roundabout way is going to solve that. In fact, sometimes it actually strengthens it. That was what happened to the guy with the marriage. Every time he went to the counsellor, it strengthened the problems. Because we're focusing on the problems rather than actually asking what the out-of-box solution might be. There is an interesting thing when we get down here to 500. 500 is the doorway. 500 is the eye of the needle. 500 is the place, and this is like the key place, the key resonance, that once we go through that and we just hold it, everything opens up and shifts. Totally. Because we literally shift into a different frequency, and therefore it's a dimensional reality shift. Our life changes. So to get through that doorway takes a bit of work. Okay, if you recognize that the energies or the emotions of shame and guilt live at 50, 50, talk about anchoring you down in the lower contracted energies, particularly religious guilt. Let's just hold you there. And guilt is sort of the seat of all addictions as well. Then you're locked in. You're not going anywhere. So first of all, we have to go in and excavate. It's like an excavation, really. It is about, it's not healing. We don't heal you. You don't heal yourself. You reveal yourself. You reveal yourself to you. Because in there, somewhere, is a blueprint that got activated before you came. Somewhere is a memory. Somewhere is a guidance system that just says, is this all there is? I know I came for something more. And I can't speak about it to anybody else because they'll think I'm crazy. They'll think I've lost it. By the way, this is one of the symptoms, is that we keep this quiet and we carry on. Okay, we don't talk about it. And I'm talking about normal people, okay? Normal people. Whether you're a high-flying executive, all of that sort of thing, or whether you're just working in an office, you totally burn out. All of us will reach this point, which is actually part of us calling to call us through to honour the agreement of what we made before we came. That's the rumble. That's the pressure. So honour that. So thank yourself that you actually have that, because that's what got you to this point. And this is a decision point. Okay, so to come up and bring all aspects of yourself, whether that's your relationship with your body, your health, your marriage, again, your libido, your capacity, your creativity, your joy, that business idea that's so unique that you know it's actually going to change humanity. What is that? Wow. So as we gradually bring everything up through that doorway, clearing the charges in your field, something wondrous happens. So as you go through that doorway, and people go through and they come back, and it's a dance. It always is, right? I mean, it took me years to get to here. Fortunately, we can accelerate it these days. There is a fast track. And since we get through this doorway, things feel light. The voices in your head stop. You're not obsessively feeding yourself through addictions, through food, through porn, through sex, through gambling, or just work. It's like you suddenly put your head outside. You put your head above the parapet and you went, oh my God, there's a different view. It's blue sky out there. So you got the feeling that if you actually cleared all those charges out of your field, that your cortisol levels would go down, your stress levels would go down. And because we've started to activate this part of your body, which is absolutely fundamental to your health and your relationships and your ability to contribute and your creativity. So we've activated that, and now we can move up and up and up. And synchronistic things happen. Other things fall away. And that internal voice, the one that was crowded out by all those other voices, has a place to land. And that's just the beginning. Okay, so I'm just going to say at this point, you cannot force your way here. You cannot manipulate your way into this place. You cannot biohack your way into this place. This is a frequency. Okay? It is like a key. It's like your own individual key in the lock, just for you, your own key code that will actually open up the door to your new life. For those of you who love a simple analogy, it's like your computer. Okay, so if we look at this remarkable technology, this is this, and I'm just going to like it to a computer, which is very simplistic. But let's say, and it's slowing down, it's not working, you have to reboot it, and it's like clogged, and it's tired and it's exhausted. So the work we do together is we defrag it, the whole system, and we return it to what I call the 0 point, and you will call the factory setting. And then we download the new operating system. It is actually, in reality, as simple as that. It's quite a magnificent process how all of this happens. But that's essentially what we're doing. So feel into that for a moment. Feel into that feeling of, God, what if there was never anything wrong with me? What if I didn't have to react to all these things? What if I had more space? What if time actually slowed down and became elastic so that I could efficiently do exactly what I needed to do in any day or given time? Because I was working so in tune. This is this beautiful thing called flow. But how do I get into that every day as just part of being human and part of being alive? Can you imagine how your relationships would change in that place when you are present? You can taste your food. Your body tells you what it needs to eat. You instinctively know that accountant over there is going to be the best one, or that deal over there is going to be the best one. And what happens is that your focus moves from competing, burnout, scarcity, power over, run, to a whole different vista of how can I be of service to the whole? How can I bring my unique gifts and talents to this world so that they are received? And in the receiving, experience the most amazing gratitude that you actually saw it through. This takes enormous courage. But hey, why wouldn't we choose this route? Okay, because every single, not only you, but all those around you benefit. If you're a CEO and you're doing this, you shift the vibration for everybody in the company. It's like you're creating this spiral where everybody within contact with you can come up. Okay. So these are just some of the things that are possible. For me, I know how I work. I measure constantly. I'm tracking the maths. I'm highly mathematical, so everything's sort of working with me and talking to me. I then, in the way that I particularly work, I have particular instruments I'm working with to clear. These are one of a kind in the world. So the way I work is literally unique in the world, which is cool. So there's no point of comparison. I work with quality, not quantity. And I work with people who are here and ready to make a change and make a difference in other people's lives by activating their own genius and their own innate wisdom, easily, exponentially, elegantly, maintaining your sense of humour with your feet on the ground. So there you go. This is just number one. Lots more will follow from this. So if you like this, please subscribe. Please tell your friends about it. If you're really curious and you want to know more and you want to talk to me, just email me, d@lightandco.earth. Go and have a look at the website. I'm doing what I came here to do. The greatest gift that I can give myself is to speak about this now. Because we're all here to walk each other home. We're all here to experience freedom on the deepest of levels. So my invitation to you, when you're in deep water, become a diver. Be curious and explore, because there is a way through. Thanks for staying with me, and I look forward to hearing from you, and stay tuned for the next one.